Nobody wakes up poor by accident. You don't drift into a strong life. You drift into a weak one, and the most dangerous place to be as a man is comfortable and broke. This truth hurts because it points the finger at you, and most people would rather stay poor than face that. Jim Rohn used to say that success is something you attract by the person you become, and that's exactly why so many men stay stuck. Not because the world is unfair, not because the system is rigged, but because they refuse to change their habits, their standards, and their daily disciplines. Poor men aren't defined by their bank accounts. They're defined by their mindset. They complain more than they create. They consume more than they build. They wait for motivation instead of becoming disciplined. And the brutal truth? Nobody is coming to save them. This isn't about shaming, it's about awakening. Because the moment you accept responsibility for where you are, you unlock the power to change where you're going. Today, we're talking about the truth most people avoid, and why facing it might be the turning point your life has been waiting for. All right. Below is an expanded keynote first, a long-form motivational speech segment inspired by Jim Rohn's brutal truth about poor men, written in a quiet, commanding, spiritually grounded, tough tone, as if delivered slowly on a dimly lit stage. Let me share something with you today that most people don't want to hear. It's not comfortable, it's not easy, but it's necessary. And if you'll stay with me for the next few minutes, I promise you this could be the turning point that changes everything. Here's the brutal truth. Being poor is not a virtue, and being broke is not an accident. Now, before you close your mind to what I'm saying, let me be clear about something. I'm not talking about people who face genuine catastrophe, medical emergencies that wipe them out, or circumstances truly beyond their control. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about the person who's been working for 20 years and still can't come up with $500 in an emergency. I'm talking about the person who makes excuses, their daily bread, and calls their lack of discipline bad luck. See, here's what happens in our society. We've made poverty comfortable. We've made broke acceptable. We've created a culture where a grown man can sit around complaining about the government, complaining about his boss, complaining about the economy, and somehow we're supposed to feel sorry for him while he does absolutely nothing to change his situation. And I'm here to tell you today, that's not compassion. That's not kindness. That's cruelty. The cruelest thing you can do to a human being is let them believe their poverty is someone else's fault. The philosophy of poor, you see, poor is not just a financial condition. Poor is a philosophy. Poor is a decision-making process. Poor is how you think, how you plan, or don't plan, how you spend your days and your dollars and your energy. I've watched people make $30,000 a year and build wealth. And I've watched people make $300,000 a year and stay broke. The difference isn't the income. The difference is the philosophy. A poor man wakes up and asks, what can I get today? A wealthy man wakes up and asks, what can I become today? You see the difference? One is focused on consumption. The other is focused on creation. One is focused on what he can take from the world. The other is focused on what value he can add to the world. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, my friend. If you're broke, if you're struggling, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself honestly, what is my philosophy? What are the ideas I've accepted as true that have led me to this place? Because here's what I know after decades of studying success and failure. Your bank account is a reflection of your philosophy. Your circumstances are the harvest of your thoughts. Now, some of you are already getting defensive. I can feel it. You're thinking, but Jim, you don't understand my situation. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it is. And you're right, I don't know your specific situation, but I know this: excuses and results cannot occupy the same space. You can have excuses or you can have results, but you cannot have both. The brutal economics of excuses. Let me tell you what excuses cost you. Every time you blame the economy, you lose a day you could have spent improving your skills. Every time you blame your boss, you lose an opportunity to become more valuable. Every time you blame the government, you give away your power to change your situation. The poor man has an excuse for everything. Why he didn't get the promotion, why he can't save money, why he can't learn something new, why he can't start that business, why he can't. And all the while, life is passing him by. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Someone with less natural talent, fewer advantages, worse circumstances is building something. Why? Because they made a different decision. They adopted a different philosophy. They said, I will not make excuses. I will make progress. You want to know the difference between a poor man and a wealthy man? It's not intelligence. Some of the smartest people I know are broke. It's not education. Some of the wealthiest people never finished high school. It's not even opportunity. Opportunity is everywhere if you know how to look for it. The difference is this: the wealthy man takes responsibility. The poor man takes offense. The wealthy man says, if it's going to be, it's up to me. The poor man says, look what they did to me. The wealthy man sees a problem and looks for a solution. The poor man sees a problem and looks for someone to blame. The discipline deficit. Now let's talk about something even more uncomfortable: discipline. You show me a broke person, and I'll show you someone with a discipline problem. Not always, but most of the time. Most people who are struggling financially are struggling because they won't do what's necessary. They won't delay gratification. They won't make short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. They want to eat out when they should be eating in. They want to buy new when they should be buying used. They want to impress people. They don, and even like with money, they don't even have, by buying things they don't even need. And then they wonder why they're broke. Listen to me carefully. Your lifestyle is not your life. Your car is not your identity. Your clothes are not your worth. But we live in a culture that has convinced people that consumption equals success, that spending equals status. And so people go into debt to look rich instead of building actual wealth. They finance a lifestyle they haven't earned with money they haven't made to impress neighbors who don't care. It's madness, absolute madness. And here's what kills me. These same people will look at someone who's actually built wealth and say, they got lucky. They had advantages I didn't have. The system is rigged. No, the system isn't rigged. Your thinking is rigged. Your philosophy is rigged. Your habits are rigged against your own success. The time equation. Let me ask you something. How much time did you spend last week working on your skills? How many books did you read? How many mentors did you seek out? How much time did you invest in becoming more valuable to the marketplace? Or did you spend that time watching television, scrolling through social media, complaining about your circumstances to anyone who would listen? You see, time is the great equalizer. The billionaire gets 24 hours, the broke man gets 24 hours. We all get the same allotment. The question is, what are you doing with yours? The poor man kills time. The wealthy man invests time. The poor man looks for ways to be entertained. The wealthy man looks for ways to be educated. The poor man asks, what's on TV tonight? The wealthy man asks, what can I learn tonight? And over days, weeks, months, years, these small decisions compound. They build, they accumulate. Until one day you look around and the person who was investing their time is living in a completely different world than the person who was killing their time. But here's what's tragic. It didn't have to be that way. The broke person had the same time, the same hours, the same opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop. They just made different choices about how to use that time. The spiritual dimension of wealth. Now, let me take this even deeper, because this isn't just about money. This is about your soul. This is about who you're becoming as a human being. Poverty, chosen poverty, accepted poverty, excused poverty, does something to a person's spirit. It shrinks you. It makes you smaller. It makes you focus on survival instead of significance. It makes you focus on getting by instead of getting ahead. It makes you focus on what you can take instead of what you can give. And that's no way to live. That's not what you were put on this earth for. You were put here to grow, to expand, to contribute, to become more than you were yesterday, to add value to the world around you, to leave things better than you found them. But you can't do that when you're broke. You can't do that when all your energy is going into making excuses and blaming others and surviving paycheck to paycheck. Wealth is not just about money. Wealth is about having enough resources to fulfill your purpose. If your purpose is to raise strong children who contribute to society, you need resources. If your purpose is to serve your community, you need resources. If your purpose is to create something beautiful, or meaningful or helpful. You need resources. And when you refuse to get those resources, when you make excuses instead of money, when you blame instead of build, you're not just hurting yourself. You're hurting everyone who would have benefited from your fully expressed potential. The choice point. So here we are. This is your choice point. This is the moment where you decide, am I going to keep living with a poor philosophy, or am I going to adopt a wealth-building philosophy? Am I going to keep making excuses, or am I going to start making progress? Am I going to keep blaming others, or am I going to take responsibility? This is not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. Changing your philosophy, changing your habits, changing your life, it's hard. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires that you do things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, over and over again until you become someone different. But here's what I promise you. It's worth it. It's worth it to wake up and know you're building something. It's worth it to look your children in the eye and know you're setting an example of responsibility and discipline. It's worth it to go to bed tired but fulfilled because you spent your day creating value instead of making excuses. It's worth it to become the person who doesn't need to blame others because you're too busy building your own success. The starting point.
So where do you start? Right here, right now, today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, not after you get your next paycheck or your tax return or whatever other excuse you're thinking about. Today, you make a decision. You say, from this moment forward, I am responsible, for my financial future. Not the government, not my boss, not my circumstances, me. And then you take the first step. You read a book on financial literacy. You cut an unnecessary expense. You have an honest conversation with yourself about where your money is really going. You start learning a skill that will make you more valuable to the marketplace. It doesn't have to be a giant step. It just has to be a step in the right direction, because once you start moving, once you start building momentum, once you start seeing even small results from your new philosophy, everything changes. The person you were yesterday, the person who made excuses and blamed others, starts to die. And a new person, a person of discipline and responsibility and growing wealth, starts to be born. The legacy question. Let me leave you with this final thought. One day you're going to look back on your life and you're going to see clearly all the opportunities you had, all the moments where you could have chosen differently, all the times you could have taken responsibility instead of making excuses. What do you want to see when you look back? Do you want to see a life of excuses, a life of blame, a life spent complaining about what others did or didn't do for you? Or do you want to see a life of growth? A life where you took responsibility, where you built something, where you became someone of value who contributed something meaningful to the world? That's the choice in front of you. Not someday, not eventually, right now, today. The brutal truth is this: you are exactly where your philosophy has taken you. If you don't like where you are, change your philosophy. Stop making excuses. Stop blaming others. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Take responsibility, build discipline, invest in yourself, become more valuable, create more value. Do the work that poor men won't do, and eventually you'll live the life that poor men can't live. That's not just financial advice, that's life advice, that's spiritual advice, that's the truth that will set you free. If you have the courage to accept it and act on it, the question is, do you have that courage? Your future is waiting for your answer. You know what's interesting? Poor people hate mirrors. Not the physical ones, the metaphorical ones. The ones that show them who they really are, what they've really been doing, where their time and money have really been going. Rich people love mirrors. They want to see themselves clearly. They want the truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because they know that you cannot change what you will not acknowledge. So let me hold up a mirror for you right now. And I want you to look, really look, at your last 30 days. How many times did you say, I can't afford it, when what you really meant was, I chose to spend my money on something else? How many times did you say, I don't have time, when what you really meant was, I didn't make it a priority? How many times did you say, it's not fair, when what you really meant was, I don't want to do what's necessary? See, the poor man lives in a world of distortion. He tells himself stories about why things are the way they are. He creates narratives that make him the victim, that absolve him of responsibility, that justify his lack of progress.
And these stories feel good in the moment. They protect his ego. They allow him to sleep at night without confronting the truth about his choices. But they're poison, absolute poison. Because every day you spend believing a comfortable lie is a day you don't spend pursuing an uncomfortable truth. And only the truth can set you free. The poverty of spirit. Let me tell you something that might shock you. I've met wealthy people who were spiritually poor. And I've met broke people who were spiritually rich. So let me be clear. I'm not saying money is everything. I'm not saying wealth equals virtue. What I am saying is this. Chosen poverty is a sin against your own potential. When you have the ability to learn, to grow, to develop, to contribute, and you choose not to because it's hard, because it's uncomfortable, because it requires sacrifice, you're not just hurting yourself. You're robbing the world of what you could have given. Think about that. Really think about it. Somewhere inside you is a better version of yourself. A more disciplined version, a more skilled version, a more valuable version. A version that doesn't make excuses, doesn't blame others, doesn't settle for mediocrity. And every day you choose your current philosophy over a better philosophy, that better version of you dies a little bit. Those dreams you used to have, they're not dead because they were impossible. They're dead because you killed them with neglect. You killed them with excuses. You killed them with your unwillingness to pay the price of bringing them to life. That's the real tragedy. Not that you're broke, but that you have the capacity to be so much more and you're choosing not to be the economics of improvement. Now let's get practical, because philosophy without action is just daydreaming. And I'm not interested in making you feel good for an hour while nothing changes in your life. Here's what you need to understand about economics. You are paid in direct proportion to the value you bring to the marketplace. Not the value you think you bring. Not the value you wish you brought. The value you actually bring. If you're making minimum wage, the marketplace is telling you something. It's telling you that what you're currently offering isn't worth very much. Now, that's not a judgment on you as a human being. Your worth as a person is infinite. But your worth as an economic producer, that's determined by the marketplace. And here's the beautiful thing, the hopeful thing, the empowering thing. You can change your economic value. You can learn new skills. You can develop new competencies. You can become more valuable to more people. And when you do, your income will follow. But most poor people never do this. You know why? Because it requires an investment. It requires that you spend time and money on your own development before you see any return. It requires faith in yourself. It requires delayed gratification. The poor man wants instant results. He wants to feel rich today, so he buys things he can't afford. The wealthy man is willing to feel poor today so he can be rich tomorrow. He invests in himself, in his skills, in his future earning capacity. One is building a foundation, the other is building a facade. And over time, the difference becomes obvious to everyone. The compound effect of daily decisions. You want to know the real secret of wealth? It's boring. So boring that most people won't do it. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's not what they show you on social media. Here it is. Small disciplines repeated with consistency over time. That's it. That's the secret. Small disciplines. Repeated consistently. Over time, save a little bit every day. Learn a little bit every day. Improve a little bit every day. Say no to instant gratification a little bit every day. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong a little bit every day, and do you know what happens? Nothing. At least not at first. For days, weeks, even months, it feels like nothing is happening. And this is where most people quit. They say, see, I tried, I saved money for 3 weeks, and I'm still broke. This doesn't work. But they're wrong. It is working. It's just working invisibly. Like a seed underground, your disciplines are taking root. They're compounding. They're building. And then one day, and it always comes if you stay consistent, one day you look up and you're in a different place. You've got money in savings. You've got skills people will pay for. You've got options. You've got freedom. But here's what the poor man doesn't understand. The harvest comes after the planting. The reward comes after the discipline. The change comes after the consistency. He wants to harvest before he plants. He wants the reward before the discipline. He wants the change without the consistency. And so he stays poor, wondering why nothing ever works out for him.
The responsibility revolution
I want to talk to you now about the most powerful word in the English language when it comes to building wealth. It's not money, it's not success, it's not even wealth. The most powerful word is responsible. When you accept total responsibility for you, our life, for your income, for your skills, for your relationships, for your future, everything changes. Everything. See, the poor man is always looking outside himself for the solution to his problems. He's waiting for the perfect job to find him. He's waiting for the economy to get better. He's waiting for someone to give him a chance. He's waiting for the government to fix things. He's waiting, waiting, waiting. And while he waits, his life is passing him by.
The wealthy man doesn't wait, he creates. He doesn't ask, why isn't anyone helping me?
He asks, how can I help myself? He doesn't say, I need someone to give me a chance. He says, I'll create my own chances. This is the responsibility revolution I'm talking about. This is where you stop being a victim and start being a creator. Stop being passive and start being active. Stop being dependent and start being independent. And I'm telling you, when you make this shift, when you truly accept responsibility for your financial future, you become unstoppable. Not because your circumstances change overnight, but because you change. Your energy changes. Your focus changes. Your power changes. Suddenly, you're not spending your energy complaining. You're spending it creating. You're not spending your time blaming. You're spending it building. You're not looking for excuses. You're looking for opportunities. The truth about opportunities. Speaking of opportunities, let me destroy another myth that poor people love to believe. There are no opportunities anymore. All the good jobs are gone. Everything's been taken. The rich have rigged the system. Nonsense. Complete and total nonsense. There are more opportunities today than at any point in human history. You can learn any skill for free on the internet. You can start a business with almost no capital. You can reach millions of people from your living room. You can access knowledge that was locked away in libraries and universities just a generation ago. The opportunities are there. The question is, are you ready for them? Have you prepared yourself? Have you developed the skills? Have you cultivated the discipline? Have you built the character? Because here's what most people don't understand. Opportunity doesn't just appear. Opportunity appears to the prepared